For Great Day Law. And joining me now is attorney lawyer Twilly, is the owner of the firm LA Law. And thank you for being with us.
Thank you for having me.
You know, it was a busy 4th of July weekend. We had told everyone that it was going to be one of the biggest days for travel in some time. And a lot of summer vacation plans I know are still coming up. But this has been a question that some of our viewers have had. What if you're traveling out of state? Easy to do if you live in Connecticut. You might be just driving an hour and be out of state.
Rhode Island, Mass.
Yeah. So what happens if you're traveling out of state and you get into a car accident? What, like, do you need to know something different?
You know, you don't need to know anything really different. What's important to know is the fact that your coverage will follow you out of state.
Okay.
But every state has different coverages. So, for example, I have a case right now where the driver was actually from Massachusetts, and they got into an accident here in Connecticut. Well, their Massachusetts policy limits were only $20,000 per person and $40,000 per occurrence. But once she crossed the line into Connecticut and got into an accident, those policy numbers converted up to Connecticut state minimum, which is $25,000 per person and $50,000 per occurrence. So you just got to know that if you're traveling out of state and you have car insurance, your car insurance will follow you, but some of the coverages may be different. I had one where they were from Florida, got into an accident here in Connecticut, and some really funky coverages. I think the minimums there were 15 and 30, but it converted to 25 here. And
because of cost of living? And we should be saying that if you have these minimums, it's like minimum that your insurance is going to cover, but it could go up a little bit depending on the state?
Depending on states. So these people were from Florida, and they had minimal policy limits of $15,000 per person, but in Connecticut, you're required to carry at least 25. So their Florida policy actually converted up
because
to
the accident
25
happened here.
because it happened here in Connecticut.
So it sounds a little confusing. I know we all have problems even knowing what we should have, and I know you always tell people make sure you've got, you know, as much as you can afford for uninsured motorists, for all that kind of stuff. But this is where it's important that you want to call a local professional. Doesn't necessarily mean a lawyer. Like, should people call you right after you've had an accident to make sure that, okay, I want to make sure I'm getting taken care of the right way? Absolutely.
Yeah, they should call us. They can call us at 844-GET-LA-LAW, but you should talk to an attorney. Or there's some old school people out there, I happen to be one of them, where you might want to call your insurance professional too to see. Like, I have an insurance agent that writes policies for me. So I would, you can call them or call an attorney. But if you were injured in an accident, certainly call an attorney. Figure out what your options are, because, you know, again, medical payments coverage is something that's, you know, it's up to you. You don't have to have it. It's not required here in Connecticut. But PIP in Massachusetts is, and so if you're driving in Connecticut and get into an accident in Mass, does PIP coverage automatically attach?
What's PIP?
I'm sorry, I'm speaking all these.
This is why you need a lawyer, because like,
personal injury protection,
Personal injury protection. Okay, so these are the things that, but no matter where you are, I know that if you haven't seen these segments before, I've heard you say over and over again, as annoying as it might be, if you're rushing, if you're anything, if someone says, here's my number, here's my license, take a picture, it's okay. The police are taking a long time to come, you would say, doesn't matter.
Doesn't matter. Stick it out.
Stay there. It might be an hour, it might be 2 hours. I mean, hopefully it's not that long, but it's important that you stay, because you find on the other end that people who said they were going to cooperate changed their story.
Huge implications, and I have plenty of cases where they waited an hour, 2 hours, the police never came, then they finally said, oh, you know, let's just exchange, blah, 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 and now all of a sudden they're in the hole. A lot of times these cases end up into suit, so it drags it out even further. So it is worth the wait to wait an hour or so for law enforcement to come to make sure that there's an independent report of actually what happened. They usually get statements from both parties, and then you can move forward. In the long run, it's usually worth it. In fact, it's almost always worth it to stick it out.
Stick it out, stick it out.
100%.
So I had an incident where someone rear-ended me, and thankfully I did wait, and the police officer in West Hartford was pretty quick. I mean, I was sitting at a red light, so I thought it was pretty clear cut.
You would think.
You would think, right? But I was happy I called police, because later on, the person was saying that it wasn't their fault, that I must have come to a sudden stop, but I hadn't, because I was at a red light. Now, fortunately, the police officer had already cited him and said it doesn't matter, because a rear end is always the other person's fault, generally. Is that true? Like, if you're rear-ended, it's that's their fault?
Generally, it's 99.999% of the time it's your fault, or their fault, pardon me. But I've had instances where they'll lie and tell their own insurance company that, oh no, the person actually backed up into me. Maybe they needed to take a turn or miss their turn or whatever, and so they backed up.
Yeah.
So you
just never.
It's worth the wait.
Just worth the wait. You need that. You need that objective observer to write things down and have a report. I just knew I ended up needing the report, so it was important that I waited because you told me I should always do that.
There you go.
So if you want to make sure that you're getting the protections that you deserve, it's a free phone call, and I know you talk to people for free, no obligation. Attorney Twilley, you can visit lalawct.com. You can follow your firm on Facebook, LA Law CT, or on Instagram, Get LA Law. And if you don't like to talk on the phone, I know you accept texts as well.
We do. So, we get plenty of those also.
However you like, I know the younger people like to just text, so you do that too.
We all do it, yes. So those texts will come into the office and all of us will answer, usually me. So,
Thank you so much.
Thanks for having me.